Ty Ottley, Brianna Billings. The authors, please. Ty Ottley and Brianna Billings.
Crap, we're never ready either. I never finished actually. I kept on getting it backwards. Alrighty.
Just a reminder, if you want to retake that last chapter test, which was in the grade book, make sure that you're coming in here in the morning or after school and you're filling out that paperwork to retake it. Remember, up until next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, that's the last day you can come in here and fill out the paperwork to retake it. After that, I assume that you're going to keep the score that you want. Okay, so you got today after school, tomorrow morning, tomorrow after school, and Monday and Tuesday morning. And then after that, then I figured that you're fine. So I already had one person come in today, fill out paperwork, but they want to retake it. And we just schedule it, we go over the problems you missed. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Okay, today, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about sequences. We introed these yesterday, correct? That was our first introduction into them. I want to continue with that today. My goal today is to do a few examples, maybe 4 or 5 different examples of actual sequences so you can get a feel for these, right? The problem is, sequences rely on one skill. It is pure inductive reasoning. Pure inductive. There's no deductive reasoning to fall back on because you haven't seen these problems before. It's not like an algebra problem where you've learned certain skills over time. Sequences take this. You have to recognize a pattern by observing it and then figuring out what the next terms are. Okay, so our goal today is to really talk about these. So let's start with kind of an easy one, right? Okay, this is a sequence. It's a list of numbers in a particular order. They don't need to go least to greatest. It's just a random pattern that we have. But what I want to know is the next 3 terms. So what we call these are actual terms, for a sequence. Those are like the numbers separated by commas, right? The first one is called the initial. So that's pretty easy. Initial meaning starting. That's the initial term, and we can go from there, right? Now, I'm betting on like within 1 second, you already knew what the next couple numbers are. What's the next three? Okay. Good. Now, what's the pattern? What do you notice? Yeah, it goes up by twos. Or the other way that some people think of it, it's just odd numbers. That's the way I think of it. Okay? But one skill is to look at this, like it's going up by 2 every time. Now, instead of just saying odd numbers, it is going up by 2s. Okay? Now, this particular sequence has a name. Okay? This type of sequence, I should say. This type of sequence is called an arithmetic sequence. Now let's discuss that term. The idea of arithmetic. There's 2 types of sequences. There's typical sequences and there's arithmetic. What makes this one special is that, do you notice the gap between the numbers? That gap going up by 2s. You notice it was the same number every single time. It didn't like bounce around. It didn't go up by 2, up by 6, up by 8. It stayed plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2 the entire time, correct? That's what makes it arithmetic. It's any time you're adding a positive number or adding a negative number to something, it makes it arithmetic. So I could have went down by 2s, and it would have been the same thing. Okay, so that's arithmetic sequence. Now the other type would be something like this. This is the other type of sequence. Okay? It's not arithmetic, even though it looks like it is. It's definitely not. Okay? So, for instance, looking at that problem, what do you think the next number is going to be? 64. You're right. It is 64. And now let's talk about why. Why is it 64? Yeah. Yeah. It multiplied by 2, right? I think the previous number times 2. Times 2. Times 2. Or another way to think of it is you're adding the number to itself to get to the next term, right? That's the way some people think of it. Instead of multiplying it by 2, you take 2 plus 2, 4 plus 4, 8 plus 8, 16 plus 16, 32 plus 32. Now, so this is the way that I actually created it in my head, right? 2 times 2 times 2, right? And then the next one would be 128, and then 256 plus 2, right? So that would be your numbers, right? This is not arithmetic. That's what you need to realize. The reason being is instead of ignoring the times 2, arithmetic is based on what you're adding to a number, or adding negative, right? So I added the number 2 here. I added 4. I added 8, to get to the next numbers, right? Do you notice that these numbers that I'm adding are all different numbers? Agreed? Like I'm going up by different numbers every time? That's what makes this one just a sequence. It's what we call a typical sequence. It has a different pattern. It has different numbers, different gaps between each number. This gap that's between the numbers, like how they're going from one number to the next, this is called a common difference. That's what we call the gap between numbers. Common difference. The gap. If the common difference numbers are like different, they're changing, it's automatically just a sequence, a typical sequence. If the gap, the common difference number, is the same the whole time, where they're adding the same number or adding a negative number the whole time, then it's an arithmetic. That's the only way it works. It doesn't work for multiplying, it doesn't work for division. It's when you add a positive or add a negative number. Okay, do we understand the 2 types now? Okay, now these are like, most people can get these in the first couple seconds, right? Pattern's super easy, it's easy to understand. It's when that common difference starts bouncing around, then it gets really challenging. It gets actually really difficult to work with. Okay, so I'm going to put up another one on the board here. Let's start with the number 20. I want to know what the next 3 numbers are going to be. sequences can be ranging. It can be different. There's different looks to a sequence. It doesn't have to follow that same pattern every single time. So, what do you think the next one of this would be? Mac, what do you got? It is 17. Okay. It is 17. Is that what kind of everyone agrees with? What about the next one? 24? 24? Okay, I agree. And the next one? 16. All right. Now, what I'm betting on, some people are very, very different in the way they approach this problem. Okay? Now, I'm going to go with the person who's very analytical. So the analytical person would look at the gap and notice the pattern. So the person that's very number conscious would do this. Oh, I notice it's going plus 1, plus 1, minus 2, plus 3, minus 4, plus 5, minus 6, plus 7. That'd be the very analytical person. So you notice it's just going plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, and the numbers are going up. How many people raise your hand if that's the way you thought of that from? Okay, you are analytical. You're very number conscious. Okay, now, the other type of person is super visual. The visual person would look at that and go, well, I just see two sets of numbers. I see these numbers are going down, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and the other numbers are going up. The numbers in between them are going up. You see that? It's every other. Okay, how many people were the visual person? Okay, yeah, it's almost 50-50. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So, you can definitely see it. Like, when most people see that, God, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even see that. Because it's not the way, it's not how your mind works. It's totally, like, everyone thinks about these problems completely different. Some people are the number conscious people, some people are the very visual person. That's what makes sequences so great, is that you can do them completely different strategies and still find the next couple numbers. Okay? All right. Does that make sense? These are good. You guys are actually figuring these out pretty well, so I'm actually pretty impressed by this. Now I'm going to mess with you. You will probably need a calculator, so if you have one, you'll want to take it out. These numbers get pretty big. What's that? Yeah, I'll let you use your phone if that's all you got. I understand that you can use that for right now. Not on test, but for right now, I'll allow it, just because it's easier to have it up. I want to know the next 3 terms. This one may not seem like it is actually harder than the previous couple that we've done. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you're like, oh, God. I don't know anymore. Nope. Just rocked your world there for a second. Oh, God, it doesn't work. You think you get it, throw it out. I want to know what you think it is. I'll tell you yay or nay. They haven't. It's so hard, right? Because how many people got, what was it, 173? You said how many people got that, or they thought it's 173? It's not. It's not 173. God, what is it? That's the only pattern I know. You want to know what the next number is? It's 216. Oh,
you see how I'm doing it, God, you're kidding me. Nope. You managed to get 216? Yeah. Ooh, interesting. All right, let's see if you can find the next number. 315? Nope. So it makes me so great. It's a little puzzle, and you're like, oh, Once you see me do it, seriously, yep. Nope. I can tell you what, it's in the 300s. I can tell you that. How many people, honest raising hand, are trying to add and subtract and get there? You're wrong. Because everyone's trying to use the gap, right? So everyone's like, okay, what's the gap here? And from here to here, they added 7, and then they went up by what, 19, and then they went, what is that? I can't do that now. It was 37. 37. And even further. 61. It's just like, it looks like it's complete chaos. Those gaps, you're like, God, these gaps don't even make sense. Because it's not using the gap. Yeah, I just broke your mind for a second. It's not using the gap. To get to the next number, it doesn't even use the previous ones at all. That's what makes this sequence hard. Because every sequence I've given you up to this point has used the previous ones to make the next one, right? That's how everyone's worked, except for this one. That's what breaks it. So now you gotta open it for mine a little bit. Do we agree that the number is getting big really fast? Yeah. I mean, it went from 1 to 64 in a matter of 4, then it went to 100 already, then it was 200. So it's definitely multiplying. This is jumping too fast. What? No. You were close. You just got lucky.
Yeah, 27 divided by 8 times 64.
Oh. Alright, here it is. This is the part where you're going to go, oh my God, you're kidding me? Seven times 7 times 7. 8 times 8 times 8, so it's 8 times 8 times 8. There's the next one. Tough sequence. When sequences go up quickly, they're multiplying. So by something. There's a pattern. When they go up slowly, or down slowly like this, they're adding and subtracting them. That's the only way that it works. That's how you know like what you should be attempting to start with on your sequences. Are they jumping too fast? Are they going too slow? That type of thing. Okay? Alright, let's try one more. And I'll give you a traditional sequence. That was a tough one. You want a tough one or you want a hard one?
Yeah.
Hard one? Okay, I'll do a hard one. Alright. I need a starting number though. 7? Okay. I don't know if this will be hard. I'll just make up one. I don't think it'll be hard for you.
this is pretty easy once you see it. Okay? If you don't, then it'll be hard. Now, do you agree? Numbers getting really big really quick. Okay, what is it?
1876.
1876, so everyone got it. Okay.
1877.
Okay. Now comes the big number.
7,508.
All right. Now this one is for those analytical people. They get it right away because it's all numbers. It's numbers. The visual person goes, I have no idea what the thing is. Like how many people like honestly when you look at it like I have no idea. You're the visual person. You're looking at trying to see like the visual pattern. It's not visual. It's purely analytical. So now I'm separating like your mind on this type of problem, right? It's different than the last one, right? Because there's visually it doesn't look like there's a pattern here. It's not like you can see, gap, that type of thing. So now you're going to have to resort to that common difference. Okay, so what was the rule?
1 by 4 plus 1.
Yeah. Multiply by 4, add 1. Multiply by 4, add a 1. Multiply by 4, add a 1. Multiply by 4, add a 1. All right, you guys see the pattern, right? Now again, this sequence is most definitely not arithmetic. The reason why is the gaps are changing. Arithmetic means the gap would be the same the whole time. Oh, they added 5, added 5, added 5, added 5, or subtracted 11, subtract 11, subtract 11. It would be the same gap the whole time. This is bouncing. The gap between numbers is not working. That's what makes this one difficult for some people that are not analytical. The analytical people, they even heard it. This is easy. Yeah, because you're analytical. The person that's visual thinks this is super hard because they couldn't figure it out. And it's a total mind change. You almost have to like back up because you have nothing to rely on. You have nothing. There's no way you can mentally prepare yourself for each type. So it's pure inductive. It's all reasoning. Okay? Deductive people could come in later and use the same patterns I've shown on the board. Right? They can go, oh, okay, I understand that problem over there. I know I can use that 1 times 1 times 1 rule, or I notice that they're bouncing, so now I can use this idea where they're going to use different patterns every time. So that's what a deductive reasoning person would do. They would only rely on the stuff that I've shown them, like only those rules, and they'll try to work with them until they make it work. But that's what makes sequences so difficult, is that you have to have this to be able to handle them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to. Okay, the patterns could be, they can be numbers. They could be now the visual person. Next 3 pictures. I want to know the next 3. So now this is for my visual people in here. Because this is a sequence. It's a visual sequence, right? It's a pattern. I want to know the next 3. If you think you have it, I'll even draw a little picture for you. I already have a skill people figured out. Okay. And you have 2. Right. Let's see if I can catch somebody that hasn't volunteered. I know you love these volunteers. That's good. I know you got the picture. I mean somebody that has not volunteered yet. That maybe is visual and you can kind of see what the pattern is. Okay. So I haven't heard from you yet. All right.
Skip 1, skip 2, skip 3.
Aha. All right. So say that loud again.
Skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, skip
Yeah.
4.
First pedal. Skip 1. 2. Skip, so the pedal is here, right? Skip 3. So the next one, what is it going to be? Skip 4. So I'm going to have to skip all 4 pedals and come right back to it again. Right? The next one, skip 5. So I'm here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it'll be at the top again. Then 6, I'm here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does that make sense? Like how you're skipping pedals? That's a visual person. Somebody can instantly see that. They can just say, oh, I can see how the pedals are skipping. It's going around clockwise. That's what makes sequences great. It just takes practice. Okay? Some people might think it went backwards. I don't know. Maybe you're that person counterclockwise. Okay. All right. So this is just something I want to show you because I want to get away from just doing analytical. Because I know, like, some people think all sequences are just numbers. They're not. Sometimes they're visual patterns. Okay. The thing I love about these, they're like little puzzles. They're easy to figure out once you see the pattern, but you need to stop the pattern or understand it. All right. So here's my little challenge to you guys today. You can get in groups of a maximum of 4 people. A maximum of 4. No more than that. And you guys get to work on some of these patterns to see if you can figure them out. And you can work together as a team. Now, here's what I want to make sure of. Don't just have one person in your group doing every single run. Try to make it a group effort where some people are volunteering. Because I know some people are not as fast at doing this, because some of you are very, very shy at, you didn't want to volunteer and you didn't want to make sure that you're wrong. So allow some of your group members to actually participate. Because I know some of you are really good at this already. It scares me. Oh, you just thought it was just, yeah. No, there's just skip it. Okay, anyone else not get one? Anyone not get one? You have an extra? All right, get groups, move around. Oh, there you go.
Oh, I'm so dumb.
All right, move around. I want to see if you can figure these out. Now, hopefully you're on the side where number 1 is at. Put your name on it. And I want you to figure out what type of sequence it is, and the missing blank, and then the next 2 after that. Okay, does that make sense? So tell me what type it is. Is it arithmetic or a normal sequence?
Oh, sorry.
Find the missing blank number, and then find the next 2 terms after that, or the next 2 terms at the end. Now, hey, here's what I want to make sure of. Okay, when you guys leave here, do not tell any other classes what we did here today. Don't tell them about the sequences or anything like that. The reason why? No. You can't just tell them anything. The reason why, they were not where you guys were yesterday. None of the classes after you guys have ever even seen a sequence yet. So I don't want you to spoil it for them. I want them to be coming into that class completely raw with no idea what we're going to do today. Okay? Because that's why you guys came in. I want to make sure that they're the same.
This one's minus.
I love these. These are fun. They're like little puzzles.
Right. Minus. Wait.
common difference is just math. So this would be, this type of common. Common difference is just the label for the gap. So just call it a C. There. Remember, you gotta tell me if it's arithmetic or just a typical sequence. Find the gap number, that one with the blank, and then find the next two.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta find the next two. Okay, does that make sense? Everyone got the rules down? Remember, try to help each other out. Don't let just one person do all the math. It's kind of a little puzzle. It's definitely possible.
Do we have to do just 3 or 2?
You gotta find the missing blank, and then the next two at the end. That makes it a little
That's it. That is super.
Looks like someone's from. Oh, 30, class 30.
It's too easy.
Any questions for them?
Yeah. Seventy minus 1. 97 minus 7 is 90. 94 minus 6 is 84. 84 minus 5 is 79. Oh, it's 6.
if you're done, you can turn it. Easy points, of course.
What happens if we don't finish?
You take it home.
Yes.
Yes.
So is this kind of like homework?
It's a little challenge, but it's easy. It's not like somewhere on the grades. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow. Fine. You get through it. It's a participation. Get through it quick.
Okay, what'd you do? These ones.
It's not 30.
I mean, how'd you get the number?
State requires me to do 2 standardized tests every year. So that's math, these, and then the state also requires me to do device EDS tests. Yeah. So what we do is we take math in the beginning, see kind of where you're at in the beginning. We take, I would anticipate skill in the middle, take math at the very end of the year, so kind of how we're very. I think they do that when you figure high knowledge, just to see if you're meeting those levels. Yeah, I'm gonna give you about another minute here. I'm not gonna stop you. I mean, you can take this home, work on it. Just don't show the other classes what you're working on. Don't work on it with them, because I want to see if they can handle it. We'll go over these answers tomorrow. This is just kind of a challenge. I want to see if you guys can figure these out. But 1 minute, we're going to talk about a completely different idea that we need to get.